Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Has the invited speaker joined?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Arora sir is joining, sir.
So, what next? Start.
One minute, sir. Only 1 minute we should start, sir. Shall we start, sir?
Yes, yes.
Very good afternoon. Respected Director, ICAR-NCIPM, Dr. Subhash Chandra, our guest speaker, Dr. Sanjay Arora, Principal Scientist and in charge KVK Hardoi-II, Uttar Pradesh, seniors scientists from the center, staff of the center, the galaxy of scientists and our collaborators who have joined us from the different parts of the country, farmers, students, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all in this very important session, our national campaign on balanced use of fertilizers, uh, which is a very important topic pertaining to the issues of the agriculture, related to agriculture. As we all know that soil is a very important component for the good crop health and production, as well as for maintaining the productivity. The green revolution on the one has literally increased the production and productivity, but due to the injudicious use of fertilizers and chemicals, including the plant protection chemicals, has in turn in a long run deteriorated the soil health, and thereby the giving the concept of integrated nutrient management for the crops, as highlighting the balanced use of fertilizers and incorporation of more of the organic matter in the soil, so that the soil productivity and soil health can be sustained in a longer run, and we have a balanced, sustained production and productivity. Therefore, in this context, also in the context of climate change, this campaign is very important to reiterate and highlight the issues related to the soil health, and so that we have a sustained production and productivity to achieve the food safety as well as the food security of the nation. In this campaign, we have contacted our all collaborators from who are collaborating with us under the different research programs, as well as our collaborator in the different schemes, which are NEH, TFP, and SCSP schemes. And we have called upon the farmers in the different part of the country to and students to participate in this campaign and have the benefit of the lecture from a very eminent scientist and a eminent soil scientist, Dr. Sanjay Arora, sir. Dr. Sanjay Arora is a soil scientist, basically an agriculture graduate from the Rajasthan Agriculture University, MSc Agriculture, Soil Science, and PhD in Soil Science from Punjab Agriculture University with highest merit and honors. Sir has been working. Sir has been working the soil science community for a very long tenure. From 2001 onwards, he is continuously in the service of the soil science in the various capacities, starting from the assistant professor to the senior scientist, and now holds a very important position of principal scientist in CCSRI regional station Lucknow, and he is the KVK in charge of KVK Hardoi-II. Sir he has received many awards and fellowships, including the gold medal from the Soil Conservation Society of India, New Delhi, Groundwater Association Award from Ministry of Water Resources, Leadership Award from the Soil Conservation Society of India, and Young Scientist Award from the Punjab Academy of Sciences, to name a few. Sir is well known for his publication in the he has written many books, and the literature developed by Sir is really a source of inspiration and a resource material for the students of the soil science. Sir, we are very eager to listen to you. We want to have a good exposure from your side, and we believe that your lecture will expose us to the various aspects of soil health management for the long-term sustainability of the soil health. Dr. Sanjay Arora, please.
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon to everyone. Respected Chief Guest of the today's program, Dr. Subhash Chandra, Director of the NCIPM. I am thankful to you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to share my talk related to.
Sorry, sir, we can't hear you.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Dr. Subhash Chandra, sir, Director NCIPM, New Delhi, Dr. Mukesh Sehgal, and coordinator of the program, Dr. Rekha. I am thankful to the team of NCIPM, especially Director sir and Dr. Sehgal sir, who has organized this program on the national campaign, which we are focusing with mainly on the balanced use of fertilizers, which is the need of the hour. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Just I will be sharing some slides, and hope the participants will listen it carefully so that we can have a discussion in the later part. Is it visible, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, as the topic is basically the balanced use of fertilizers, a prerequisite for soil health management. As these days we are discussing on several issues related to human health, soil health is also very important, and government has also initiated several schemes, programs, and uh, for creating awareness about the soil health management. For that, the balance use, the term which we are using for since a long time, say balanced use of fertilizers or integrated use of fertilizers. So we have seen it, but nowadays in relation to soil health, how it is very important. As you are aware that soil is one of the vital natural resource which supports plant growth, and healthy soil can support healthy plants and thus build a healthy nation. So for that, you all must be knowing, but just for a background, just I have put this slide. Soil sickness due to various natural and anthropogenic factors can not only fully reap the benefit of the agriculture input used in agriculture production system. Assessment of soil health is important, and for that we are focusing more on how to use the efficiency, how to maximize output of that, and without disturbing the environment. Soils provide biomass for food, fodder, raw materials, and this we have to understand, because uh, the young generation as well as the children should know that the soil is the basic thing which we need before getting the food, fodder, or any other materials. Soil provides storage for the nutrients as well as cycling of nutrients, and it is the demand that once the soil has given something out from its system, it is our moral duty to recycle it. And soils provide a filtering as well as detoxifying buffering capacity to protect groundwater as well as other pollutants. So these are the main functions of the soil. And nowadays, carbon sequestration is, after the seawater, the soil is one of the important things where we can store the carbon, and not only helps in means tackling the adversities of climate change, but also maximizing the production system. Soil maintains large amount of microorganisms also, and in this, the basic component of the soil is the mineral material, which is 45%, which is organic and inorganic, and 25% water and 25% air. The 5% is the organic matter. The mineral materials are those from which the nutrients are being exploited, and water as well as air helps in means exploitation of these materials. 5% organic matter is the means for an ideal soil, but this indicates that we have to make our soil in such a way that it contains large amount of organic matter. Then only the 25% water is 25% air can be easily transferred, and which helps in the availability of nutrients. Everyone knows that the soil, the essential nutrients for plant growth, basically 17, and most of them are taken up by the plants from the soil. And once these soil, since 1960s, when Green Revolution came to India, we are exploiting the soil in terms of removal of the reserves of the nutrients from the soil. And recently we see that production and import of DAP. One means we have to replenish these nutrients through chemical fertilizers. And once the availability of these nutrients is reduced, we apply chemical fertilizer. But these days, the chemical fertilizer, basically urea and DAP, which the farmers are commonly using it, we can see that a large amount of these are being imported. And the Indian condition, we are means less producing it. And availability of DAP and MOP in the markets, we have seen during last years, there was a means declining trend, and the farmers were demanding for their availability in the market. But availability of urea was also hampered, because we are basically dependent upon many other countries for the supply of raw materials or any other means things. So it is a means very cost, means it involves a large amount of cost, and farmers are unable to get this in the market during last 2 to 3 years, when the international market was very high. Percentage increase in international prices we have seen just in 1 year, from January 21 to 22. There was increase in urea 213%, DAP 128%, ammonia to 95%, MOP and phosphoric acid nearly 90%, and sulfur 153%. This is mainly because of the some problems, international problems going on with Russia as well as Ukraine, and we have seen that the this problem has resulted in less availability of these in the global market. And in Indian context, we see there is declining partial factor productivity during last many years, and declining organic matter status in our soil has resulted in demand for more nutrients from the chemical source, and emerging nutrient deficiencies. We have seen that not only from nitrogen to sulfur, but the micronutrient, especially boron and zinc as well as molybdenum, is aggravating in our soil. Major concern in Indian agriculture is depletion of the soil organic matter, which we are less concentrating on these days. But during last few years, there has been means awareness about the use of organic materials, imbalance in fertilizer use, because N and P are the most widely used fertilizers in India, emerging multi-nutrient deficiencies because of the depletion of reserves of the minerals in the soil, and declining nutrient use efficiency because of the faulty practices, methods of irrigation as well as tillage, resulting in declining nutrient use efficiency. And the important thing in nutrient use efficiency is the use means the non-availability of sufficient microflora into the soil, and which have the capacity to transform these nutrients, whatever the farmers is going to apply in the field. Declining crop response ratio and negative soil nutrient balance, more is the demand and less is the application. This also results in the negative soil balance. And timely availability, as I told you that during last few years, we have seen there is crunch in the global market, and at the time of the requirement, say during Rabi and Kharif seasons, the availability in the market is declining. And the other important concern in irrigated areas is the fertilizer response is declining. Means the inadequate and imbalanced fertilizer use has resulted in the decline in the response of the fertilizer. And lack of farmer awareness and increasing multi-nutrient deficiency to identify which deficiency or which fertilizer is to be applied is also a problem in Indian condition. Nutrient use efficiency surely is declining, but the availability of fertilizers, especially of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, and micronutrients, the efficiency is very low in Indian soil, 30 to 50% in case of nitrogen. There are losses, there are fixation, as well as mostly we see the first DAP, which is very costly, and 15 to 20% is only available, and rest is it is fixed into the soil system. And for that also the microbes can be beneficial. The increasing population demands for more food, and for food we have to rely on soil, and for soil, for a healthy soil, to get a healthy food, there is demand for more nutrients application, and nutrient application is mainly done in Indian condition by the chemical fertilizers. And these fertilizers, if are not available, or their demand is more and supply is less, it will result in improper balance. Our soils are basically low in organic carbon. Since last many years, we have been talking about the organic carbon because the output ratio is output is more and input is less, and more chemical fertilizer results in, as well as more irrigation, and the subtropical conditions as well as tropical condition in our country results in depletion of soil organic carbon. And we have seen in say many parts of North India, especially UP, Punjab, Bihar, there is decline in the organic carbon, but UP is gaining, as well as due to awareness being created during 2 to 3 years. We have seen that 0.5 is the critical limit. We want in the agriculture soil to have the organic carbon by about 0.5%. But in problematic soils where the salinity or sodicity exists, there is more the organic carbon is very is in a small quantity. And the suggested strategies include use of optimal doses of based on the soil health status. So for that, earlier we were advocating that the dose should be on the basis of few parameters like NPK, but now we are talking about the whole soil health status, which includes 12 parameters, and promotion of neem coated urea as to avoid losses of nitrogen, and promotion of micronutrients because we are not applying to the extent it is demanded, and promotion of organic fertilizers, especially 1 or 2 states are basically become the organic states, but the rest we are promoting in some parts to get the organic farming done by use of organic fertilizers, and promotion of water soluble fertilizers because the efficiency will be high, and natural farming is in these days is being promoted to compensate the deficient nutrients in terms of improving soil health and also providing congenial environment for the plant growth. Biological, chemical, and physical components of the soil system will all the three will be governing the overall soil health of the system. And we have seen that during last many years, the soil science research, or say the focus was mainly limited to the disciplinary boundaries, especially either on the chemical or on the physical or biological approaches. But now for soil health management, the research needs to be focused on all the three in a joint way. then only we can say that the quality of our soil, which is the capacity of soil to function, especially the function involves the biological productivity, to maintain environmental quality, and to promote plant and animal health. And for that, uh, soil soil scientists alone cannot work, and it needs to be interdisciplinary approach to mitigate any adversities or any problems related to soil health and capacity. And soil health is a very broad term. It involves large number of microbes. 1 gram of soil contains 10 to the power 4 species of bacteria, 70% fungi, 95% mites, and many other which are present in the soil. But during last many years in our country, in agriculture soil, application of chemical fertilizers and indiscriminate use of pesticides and all that has made our soil a dead one. But we need the life in the soil, and it can be only possible in terms of allowing the bacteria to survive, allowing the earthworms and other organisms to survive. If it can be possible only by the use of less use of chemicals and more towards the organic or balanced fertilization. Microbial biomass is very important. Nitrogen is governed by that, carbon as well as phosphorus. These are, because we are just talking on many floors or platforms that chemical fertilizer can be replaced with organic, but how much organic, and if that organic materials is having substantial uh, microbial activity or not, it is also of great importance. Otherwise, simply adding a dry cow dung or FYM will not work in the present condition of the soil. Just I will be skipping some slides. Assessment of soil health, basically governed by number of physical, chemical, as I told you, the basic properties of soil. But how these indicators can be useful, not only the availability of nutrient, but water use efficiency, the quality of the produce, uh, it the soil organic matter, say soil organic carbon is the indicator. Nutrient retention, it helps in nutrient retention, soil fertility, soil structure, soil stability, and soil erosion. This is basically for the students who are interested to know how the soil health indicators and which are the important indicators that can be used to uh, assess the soil health. Physical indicators, bulk density, infiltration, soil structure, macropores, soil depth, and water holding capacity, because all these uh, will be governing the availability of nutrient, whatever you are going to apply into the soil system. If the bulk density infiltration is not proper, the availability will be reduced, or sometimes the water holding capacity, because all the nutrients require movement, solubilization, as well as mineralization, which is due to these physical properties. And chemical properties, especially the pH of the soil, because the availability of nutrient is governed by the pH of the soil, as well as the biological and chemical activity is governed by the salinity, sodicity, or any other chemical parameters, which include available nutrients also, as well as fixed forms of nutrients also. Biological activity includes the production of enzymes, microbial population, microbial biomass, earthworms, as well as soil respiration. These are the indicators. And if we can say that if the ideal soil with having good soil health, especially in the areas where physical, chemical, and biological are properly balanced. Why can't we measure one variable of soil health? Means it is very difficult to assess different parameters and come out with a index of soil health. Uh, but there is no single parameters. We have to rely on many of the soil properties which overall govern the soil health. As I told you, the physical, chemical, there can be some modifications as per the area where the soil exists. Say, for example, in hilly regions, the erosion as well as soil depth is important, and in some coastal areas, salinity or seawater ingress is also influencing the soil health. Soil health card scheme was launched by Government of India, and uh, many of the states are employed this scheme, and farmers are getting benefit out of it. But the 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 overall parameters, say 12 parameters, are important. And apart from the nutrients, the organic carbon is focused. Soil biological health is also important. Here we have mainly concentrated on the organic carbon, but the respiration as well as biological activity is the other important aspect which needs to be included in the soil health cards. And as in our different programs, we have stressed on the soil biological health mission, which is required for assessing the proper health of the soil. Because many of the soil quality indexes which have been drawn is based on the scoring functions or the giving the weights to particular properties or particular functions. And sometimes there is no general guidelines to get a soil quality index for a overall soils of the country. It needs to be on the site specific or location specific or on the region specific basis. And Indian Institute of Soil Science and other institutes are trying to create this soil quality indexing for agroecological zones. As I told you, the carbon is the basic component, is the key factor in the soil health, and nutrient cycling requires carbon. Once the carbon is managed, the other nutrients, which we say that the carbon is the storehouse and it can be useful, it can provide different nutrients, but in small quantities. But overall, the biological as well as chemical health can be improved with the presence of carbon. And for that, we are concentrating more on NPK. And during last many years, we have seen that N and P, with about 80 to 90% of the soils of our country are deficient, and potassium with 50% deficiency in many parts of the country. And on an average, this work has been done by Indian Institute of Soil Science, Bhopal. And nutrient status for micro and secondary nutrient also under the AICRP scheme of micro and secondary nutrients. And they have reported that many of the micronutrients are becoming deficient in Indian soils. And we are more focusing on NNP, and nowadays zinc and boron are other important nutrients the farmers is concerned about. And nutrient mining in Indian soil, we see there is a negative balance, especially in most of the nutrients, NPK, and overall also since last 20 years. And this balance on an average from 24 research stations, this was compiled, especially in rice wheat system. And not only the nutrient mining, but the nutrient transport, which is important factor, because once we are creating awareness, we are asking the farmers to apply judiciously the fertilizers and the recommended quantities of chemicals. If they are going to apply it, the producer transports the material to the consumer, and the nutrients get transferred from one place to another. Say, for example, vegetable produced in Haryana is consumed in New Delhi, and the depletion occurs at Haryana, say Karnal, and the waste material or the recycling of that nutrient doesn't happen. And whatever the produce go to the other cities, not only in the cities, but the transfer from one state to other as well as one country to another also transport nutrient, whatever the farmer is going to apply. So and the present situation in our country, there is no such say protocol for fixation of price of the commodities based on the nutrient transport. It is also very important issue, and not only the water. Earlier we were talking about the water, say 4,000 liters of water is being required for producing 1 kg of rice, and 1 kg of rice costs nearly 14 to 15 or say 20 rupees in Indian market. And when the many of the countries has stopped production of rice due to high requirement of water, and the import is becoming means much cheaper in terms of water. So similarly in case of soil, the nutrient also depletes from one place to another when the movement of commodities occur. Soil health management is formidable challenge to ensure productivity, profitability, and national food security, because agriculture productivity can only help in fighting hunger in India. Imbalance is evident from this. We say that from in Haryana, Punjab, and UP, the three important states for rice wheat system or major crop growing areas, we see that there is wide gap between NPK ratio, and this shows the imbalanced use of fertilizer. And integrated nutrient management, which had been talked since 1972 or say 1980s, and we have seen that some initiatives have been taken during last 30-40 years, but the availability of organic manures, the organic materials, and the uh, available the protocol for use of these materials is missing in some parts. So that creates non-adoption of these approaches. Organic manures is required in high quantity, say 5 to 10 tons. The availability of uh, for a small farmer is very difficult to get for both the crops, but the application time as well as the application method is also important. Fortification of these organic materials or enrichment of compost and manures with say microbes as well as minerals can help in integration of integrated use of nutrients. And site specific nutrient management, large number of government schemes are being going on to manage these soils, especially in terms of nutrient management with the approach of site specific nutrient management, especially in rice wheat system. And we have seen that there is with the means NPKs, and when we are using other micronutrients also, there is improvement in the grain yield as well as overall benefit cost ratio of the soil. But when we are comparing what wrong we have done or what is the wrong practices which we have followed, which resulted in such large amount of depletion of the soil reserves, this is basically due to biomass burning and residual removal. We have certain traditional approaches and conventional tillage and clean cultivation, where or keeping the crop, the field fallow for long time. Continuous monoculture, because monoculture sometimes results in high depletion of nutrient reserves, and thus especially in rice wheat system and maize wheat system, we have seen that low input subsistence farming and soil nutrient mining, intensive use of chemical fertilizers as well as pesticides, intensive cropping, surface flood irrigation because of freely availability of water, indiscriminate use of pesticide. Uh, there are many approaches for integrated pest management, as the institute NCIPM is working on many of these aspects. And this is the traditional approaches, but nowadays the recommended management practices includes IPM, INM, and cultivating in the marginal soil, especially in the degraded soil, which is also increasing day by day, as not only the chemical degradation but also the physical as well as biological degradation. INM can help in reducing emissions to mitigate the adversities of climate change effect, and we have seen that not only reduction in nitrogen losses, but means improving the yield of the soil when of the rice crop when green manuring and other integration of nutrients are done, especially crop residue management. And from large number of experiments we conducted in different parts, we have seen that FYM as well as integration of uh, inorganic with the green manures, and uh, this has resulted in organic carbon buildup in the soils, and also improvement in the yields. Recycling is very important because uh, once you are removing the reserve means nutrient from the soil reserves, the soil demands the nutrient to be recycled. The waste material or the the farm waste or the city waste or the compost which we are preparing from the uh, agro waste can be help in revival of the soil health. Biofertilizers are very important because these days our soil, as I told you, it is becoming non-living. We are more concentrating on the chemical or physical improvements, but biological improvement is much required. Biofertilizers, although there is demand, increasing demand these days, but the availability is also a great concern in Indian context. But nitrogen fixing organisms, P solubilizing, mycorrhiza, and nowadays zinc solubilizers as well as potassium solubilizers are basically in demand. When we see about the soil quality indexing to evaluate management impacts, not only the fertilizer use, because that we can see 100% NPK, and when 100% NPK is added with the FYM or only 100% NP, we see drastic change in the soil quality. 100% NP is 1/3 of the 100% NPK. Simply adding one nutrient can improve the soil quality. This shows that we have to be not only choosy for the nutrient, but we have to balance these nutrients as per the demand of the soil. Then only we can improve the soil quality, or we can say soil health. There are number of decision support system available, and we have also developed a soil quality assessment for sodic soils, especially where the input parameters based on the soil carbon as well as the pH will give us the information how much nutrients or how much yield we can expect from the present native soil condition, and what nutrients are required for mitigating the problem of sodicity as well as availability of nutrients. Management goal, especially for productivity and environmental protection, nutrient cycling, water relation, physical stability support, filtering and buffering, resistance and resilience, and biodiversity and habitat. These are the supporting soil functions which are important for productivity of the soil. Indigenously available nutrient sources, basically the K-bearing minerals like mica, rock phosphate, because for P and K we are more dependent on foreign countries, and that requires say more foreign exchange, and sometimes the non timely availability of these will result in poor yields and panic among the farmers. Phosphogypsum, a byproduct of fertilizer industry, especially from the phosphoric acid production units, we have seen that this is one of the byproduct can be used for agriculture purposes, but with caution that it doesn't contain any traces of heavy metals or radioactive ions. Co-structured acidic and sodic soils low in sulfur and calcium to benefit from its supplementation, especially phosphogypsum. Similarly, there are many other byproducts from industries that are useful. Fortification, Government has also initiated fortification of these chemical fertilizers like zincated urea, borated SSP, and DAP, and uh, uh, it needs to be promoted by giving the more uh, benefits to the farmer in terms of subsidy. And nanotechnology is another approach. We have seen that nano fertilizer recently it is being launched by IFCO, and many of the organizations are working on nano rock phosphate, uh, zinc, zinc especially a micronutrient in terms of zinc oxide, the particles which can be coated in the on the seeds. It is very commonly means to enhance the nutrient use efficiency of these nutrients and to reduce the losses. This is the important tool the nanotechnology can be used for enhancing the availability. Integrated nutrient management models, uh, rice straw retention as well as incorporation in wheat is beneficial against the conventional practice of synthetic fertilizer only. Rice, in case of rice, wheat straw retention with legume crops, green manuring, farmyard manure, and paddy compost can be the options for the integrated nutrient management in rice wheat system. Organic amendments, rice straw contains large means substantial amount of nitrogen content, and legumes as well as green manure can be used to compensate nitrogen in soils. Soil microbes are very important for soil health as they supply not only supply nutrients, they help in organic matter decomposition, formation of humic acid, fulvic acid, and helps in growth of the plants, biocontrol of the soil-borne phytopathogens, nutrient cycling, as well as detoxification of contaminated soil apart from the bioremediation of these soils. Bioformulations as biofertilizers to mitigate any problem of the soil and especially the nutrient availability in relation to the other properties of the soil like the sodicity or salinity. We have also worked on that aspect, and our institute have developed the bioformulations for salt affected soil, and these bioformulations have the potential not only to remediate the soil but also to enhance the availability of nutrient, and thereby in problem soils, especially 6.73 million hectare of salt affected soils, where the availability of nutrients is very low, and on the other hand, the chemical fertilizer efficiency is also very low because of the concentration of salts present in the soil. And these soils are not only deficient in nutrient but also poor in organic matter content because of the hydrolysis and all the factors, and that results in demand for more microbial activity from outside system we can apply through these bioformulation. The other soil degradation we have uh, just I have already told you that erosion as well as this also results from the declining organic matter content. Once the soil is uh, means low in organic matter, it is more prone to degradation, and these are the consequences if we are not properly following the practices of agriculture production. Soil erosion, runoff, desertification, and this all not only means results in loss of the soil, but also the precious nutrients from the soil system, and this loss results in means monetary loss of in terms of say fertilizers or chemicals. Just briefing about the salt affected soil, as I told you, 6.73 million. This is very important to means whatever nutrient you are going to apply, the availability will be dependent on the soil pH. If the soils are acidic in nature, the application or the efficiency will be reduced to an extent based on the uh, pH of the soil. And similarly, in salt affected soil, when the pH is high, the availability of certain nutrient gets means low, and in this condition the chemical fertilizer will have not much impact on the crop growth and yield. Here, the other sources, especially the organic, can be beneficial, as well as the microbial can help in improving the soil fertility. Mobile application we have developed for not only getting an idea how much quantity of gypsum is being required to reclaim the sodic soil, but also to assess the sodicity extent and sodicity and the nature of the soil, so that we can get an idea how much yield can be obtained by optimum application of fertilizers. And this is the mobile application available on Google Play Store, and one can easily download it in English and Hindi, and this will guide you for proper reclamation of the problem soils and management of the soils, not only in terms of carbon but also in terms of nutrients. Carbon sequestration in climate change scenario, we see that it is very essential because soil is important sink, and we want soil as well as the plant to sequester more amount of carbon from the environment, so that we can breathe easily and we can get good clean environment for our living. For this also, growing of sesbania, which can save up to 80% 80 kg nitrogen per hectare. Byproducts like bagasse and press mud from sugar industries, biochar from say rice husk as well as rice straw, and many other farm waste material can be used for biochar production. And this not only helps in alleviating salt stress, but also can be beneficial in improving soil carbon as well as nutrient availability in the soil. Water hyacinth commonly found in the village ponds in especially in North India, and it is just treated as weed, but it is very beneficial in improving soil health because it has high amount of organic matter, and we can recycle into the soil the organic materials to improve the soil carbon status. Vermicompost is a very means these days it is being adopted, but in a small scale, the farmers have to be promoted to adopt this practice at a small scale at their village level only. Municipal solid waste or city waste as well as farm waste can be converted to compost because it has high carbon content, and apart from the biodegradable material or the farm waste, especially the leaves from different tree species and the residues from the crops, can be used as an important source of nutrients as well as carbon simultaneously if applied into the soil. And in our study, we have seen that it not only helps in improving the bulk density, infiltration rate, as well as biological activity of the soil with the introduction of municipal solid waste compost. And these days also the government of different states as well as the municipal corporation of the cities are more concerned about disposal of the waste from the cities, and this can be one of the options. And many of the metro cities have initiated these formation of compost from these waste. Mycorrhizal fungi have an important role if properly managed and applied. They not only improve the soil health, provides nutrient to the plant as well as availability of water. And as I told you, in North India, residue burning is a common practice, and not only residues of paddy, but also of many other crops, say for example, which mustard as well as pulses. We need to recycle them, and for that residue decomposition in situ is important, because farmers cannot wait for a long time to go for the next crop. And there are many decomposers available, microbial decomposers, as well as other approaches through machines. But we have also developed a Hello CRD for salt affected soil, where these microbes not only enhance plant growth for the next crop, but also helps in in situ decomposition of the stubbles after the harvest from by use of machines, especially the rice. We have seen that in 4 to 5 weeks, we are able to sequester large amount of carbon in comparison to the incorporation of residues or over the negative impact of the burning. Not only the rice, but wheat as well as sugarcane leaf trash is being burned in North India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, and this can also be checked with the use of these residue decomposers. Residue incorporation not only improves soil physico-chemical properties, but also biological properties apart from providing nutrients. And energy transformation is important because loss of energy from the soil system will result in improper, say, balance of the energy or nutrients. And if we are going to recycle the nutrients from the residues, it will surely transform the energy into the soil system. There is need for promotion of large scale adoption of bioformulations, and we are doing at our end, and I think everyone will take this responsibility to uh, uh, generate awareness, and there are many options available to move forward, say by improving productivity and efficiency of nutrient and water, a smart delivery of plant nutrients, developing dynamic expert system, and a timely application of fertilizer and water inputs, cost-effective technology for utilization of indigenous minerals and bioorganic nutrients, because climate smart agriculture or climate smart farming or natural farming, basically they mainly focus on the improvement of soil health and crop health. Harnessing soil microbial activity or biodiversity for energy efficient agriculture by developing cost effective and appropriate customized consortia based microbial formulation as per the demand of the soil, as per the need of the region, and the isolation from native soil or the native materials can be beneficial, and searching for new microbial genes for efficient mobilization of soil nutrients. Microbial technology not only helps in means providing nutrients or mineralizing the nutrient into the soil system, but also helps in remediation of industrial as well as sewage water for safe use in agriculture. How to reverse the soil degradation? There is need for design and development of site-specific packages and practices for adoption, especially in conservation agriculture and rain-fed areas, as well as for irrigated conditions. There are set norms, but more and more focus should be given on that. And development of protocol for identification of soil quality indicators for your areas means which indicator is to be given the priority over the other. Field level management options for resilience of degraded soil is important, especially in sodic as well as saline sodic and acidic soil conditions. Bioremediation of polluted soils, especially in the industrial areas or the areas in the golden corridors of Gujarat and Maharashtra. Climate strategic use of soil resources. We have seen the development of process-based crop models for evaluation of impact and risk assessment of climate change. Certain models are there, but there is need for more strategic use of these soil resources in these models, and identification of production technologies enhancing soil carbon sequestration. And once the carbon is the backbone of soil, if we are going to manage it properly and with the integration of the organic as well as inorganic nutrients, surely we will be able to manage the nutrient, water, and carbon into the soil system and come out with a sustainable soil health management and soil sustainable crop production. Best fertilizer management practices are basically 5 R's. If you are going especially for the chemical fertilizers, right fertilizer source needs to be identified, right rate of application, because during last few years we have forgot use of SSP, single super phosphate. We are more concentrating on DAP as a phosphorus fertilizer. Although SSP, when it was applied, the soils were not deficient in sulfur or calcium, but these days deficiency of sulfur has emerged, and the culprit is the DAP, because we are more focusing on N and P, and we rely on DAP. Sulfur, which was present in SSP, is not being applied by the farmers. So rate of application. Here the problem is that blanket recommendation for rice wheat system or maize wheat system or cotton based system cannot be adopted for every soil. Therefore, there is need for a strong soil testing laboratory facilities in every district, and a reliable source should be there to recommend a proper rate of application. And right time of application is important, right place and right combination. Right combination is basically, we have seen that sometimes zinc and phosphorus are being applied means simultaneously, and the both have a means interactive effect, and the farmers doesn't get the benefit out of these. So I will be ending my talk with the saying that the widespread nutrient deficiency and deteriorating soil health are the cause of low nutrient use efficiency and productivity, and so we are more in need of improving the efficiency of nutrients. And this adoption of site-specific, balanced and integrated nutrient management involving major secondary and micronutrients, organic manures, biofertilizers, and soil amendments are to be adopted. Conducive policy environment for more investment in fertilizer sector for sustained supplies of fertilizer is required, utilizing all indigenously available nutrient sources to be used, because as for example, water hyacinth, it's very cheap. Its application is very cheap, but it is very much beneficial in terms of improving carbon. Developing new efficient fertilizer products approaches through state-of-the-art R&D applications, and many of the private organizations are, as well as NGOs, are concentrating on these aspects. And effective soil testing service is the to back up the precise fertilizer application is required. Creating awareness among farmers on the benefits of balanced fertilization, and especially the say integrated approach, not only of use of fertilizers but also use of sources, as well as for research also multidisciplinary approach needs to be followed. So human health is dependent on plant and animal health, and which is dependent on soil health. Surely we will be means moving towards the new era where we will be managing the soil health properly when we are celebrating the decade of the soil health, especially from 2015 to 2024, and as per FAO. And if the chemical fertilizers, organic manures, and other bioresources like biochar, INM, and biofertilizers are properly used, we will be able to achieve this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss about the soil health, especially in terms of balanced use of fertilizers. And I will be happy to having to be responding to your queries or any interaction.
Thank you, sir. The lecture is open for discussion. We can have one or two questions. Yadav sir, you are not audible.
Hello.
Now audible, sir.
My query is that in mustard, under rain-fed condition, farmers say DAP conserve the moisture. Is any scientific logic behind this? Because in rain-fed condition, they apply 1 packet of DAP and say this is more effective for germination or conserving moisture and for growth of this mustard crop.
Actually, DAP means the availability of phosphorus especially in rain-fed condition is poor. And if earlier the farmer was using SSP, but nowadays DAP, because SSP is not available in the market as it was earlier available in large scale. So DAP is being used. The basic scientific background is that the demand of the phosphorus is met by DAP instantly. Uh, that's why the crop is responding. But after say 15 to 30 days of establishment of the crop, the mustard demands large amount of sulfur, and sulfur inadequacy of sulfur in these soils results in declining productivity, and which was earlier met through the SSP but not through DAP.
We earlier farmer use this calcium sulfate, we can say Kisan Khad earlier, that also supply the sulfur also in addition to nitrogen. But now
Yes.
their choice is only this DAP, and which is not economical also. And they say this is most beneficial for us.
Calcium sulfate or many complex fertilizers having calcium and sulfur are being used for many other purposes. So in agriculture, the availability is reduced. Say, for example, gypsum was earlier used for agriculture purposes by many of the farmers, especially in the rain-fed areas as well as in irrigated areas, but where the sulfur demand was high. But nowadays, availability in the open market is very rare, and the problem is that if available, it is very costly. So farmer, and the response is not very quick because the solubility of these fertilizers are very low, and they are sparingly soluble, and farmer cannot see the response, the immediate response. So they rely much on the fertilizers which are quick in responding, and they can visually see that there is improvement in the crop growth.
Sir, I
Otherwise,
conclusion.
otherwise earlier gypsum was, especially in Rajasthan, uh, gypsum was being used by the farmers of the and Gujarat also. Mustard farmers use this. Sometimes the farmers of say cluster bean nowadays, they have found that good responses there, but the response is slow and the availability is low. This results in shifting from the gypsum or other sulfate fertilizer to directly to the phosphate or nitrogenous fertilizers.
Sir, on one word, I want to conclude that there is a need to educate the farmer or convince the farmer that government is giving more subsidy on this gypsum, and if they use gypsum with this SSP, they will be more benefits. They will benefit it other than using this DAP, and which is going to more costly. Government giving subsidy and its rate is 2,000 rupees per packet, and later sooner it will be implemented.
Actually, it is a policy decision, but as far as science is concerned, there are more efforts are required to not only aware the farmers but also make the availability of nutrient these fertilizers available in the open market easily for the farmers. Otherwise, the farmers will not go to far places to procure that fertilizer.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, one question is there in chat box from Anila madam. any suggestion or guideline on where soils to practice natural farming?
Where soil?
I mean, in which type of soils? I think the question must be in which type of soils the natural
Actually,
farming will be more successful.
Yes, yes. Actually, natural farming, we were already practicing natural farming since many decades. But the present format of natural farming, which we are seeing during last 2 to 3 years, it needs to be tested, validated, and for different soils, because when we have made our soil, say, dependent on chemicals and dependent on many other sources from outside, and immediately we doesn't provide substantial amount of nutrients, and simply adding organic materials or say cow-based materials, it may not meet the demand of the soil as well as the crop. But for 1 or 2 years continuous following the practice will surely benefit the soil. As in my lecture, I was more focusing on microbes as well as organic materials, and these two are the main ingredient in natural farming. And when these are added to the soil, surely we will get the benefit. But for a particular soil, say, as the question was, for which type of soil it will be beneficial, it all the soils need nutrients, all the soil needs carbon. So for every soil, the natural farming can be beneficial, but the response can be, say, variable.
Any other question?
Can we recommend natural farming in salt affected soil?
Yes, we are practicing it, because these salt affected soil are basically, we say these are the virgin soils, because we have less exploited these soils in terms of nutrients, in terms of other pollutants. हमने इन soils को कम मतलब इसमें से कम निकाला है. अब इसमें हम कुछ भी डालेंगे बाहर से तो वो रिस्पॉन्ड करती है. Especially these soils are very low in organic carbon, and और यही एक important चीज है उसमें. If the organic carbon is low, infiltration or dispersion will be infiltration is less, dispersion will be more, choking will be high, infiltration of air as well as water movement into the soil system will be low, and similarly the nutrient availability will be reduced. And once we are adding the organic materials or organic manures, but it demands high amount of organic materials, organic carbon. But in natural farming, we are giving very less amount. But we have seen that, as I told you, 2 to 3 years of time of continuous use of natural farming approach, which the latest approach which has been advocated by several agencies. And if we go for that, certainly it will be giving the benefit in sodic as well as saline soils also.
Thank you, sir. If there are no other questions, the participant can write their question in the chat box, or they can mail us. We'll get back to the sir for the answers, and then we'll give the answers back to the participants as well. Taking the program further, I request Dr. Subhash Chandra, Director NCIPM, for his remarks, sir. Dr. Subhash Chandra, please.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Honorable the speaker of the day, Dr. Sanjay Arora, in charge KBK, Dr. Rekha Bolodi, coordinator of the program, all the scientists, students who have joined from outstations, from KVKs, from universities, and scientists from an NCIPM. So you will agree with me that Dr. Sanjay Arora has given a very, very holistic and comprehensive account of the soil conditions, what is the importance of soil, what are the problems with our soils, and how they can be remedied, how means what are the major nutrients, micronutrients, and what are their deficiencies, how they can be rectified. And further, when we want to reduce chemical use, how much will be the requirement for organic material. So that is a very, very important point. We have to think how to meet that requirement. And then finally, he said it is an interdisciplinary, very, because soil, we call it a living entity. It was full of microbes, full of insects, full of other arthropods, and they are also harmed by pesticides, excessive use of fertilizers. We need to protect them. And then finally, these means we have to adopt integrated approach. I think integrated approach is the best thing. Middle path, I always think, is the best thing. Means integrated pest management, integrated nutrient management, and judicious use of chemicals, of anything, judicious use. And finally, we have to move towards integrated cropping system. These as the components of integrated pest management, integrated nutrient management as an integral part of integrated crop management, and then farming systems. Because farming system, when we move, they are complementary. Crop, animals, they can provide a source of this. So it's very, very clear that our soils are deficient of organic matter. We know after green revolution, these fertilizers, pesticides, they have played very, very important role. What our natural resource base has been degraded. You know, there is no soil, very, very poor in soil organic carbon matter. We are burning residues, like in Punjab, Haryana, residues are being burnt. They are not being incorporated into the soil. And then whatsoever we are producing, we are producing with the chemical fertilizers. And then again, factor productivity has come down. What we used to produce with 1 kg of fertilizer 20 years ago, so that has declined. And again, water resource also we have depleted. Means they say it has gone up to 100 feet down, and every year I think 20 to 50 centimeter it is going down. And so, and with then excessive use of these pesticides. So we have to use these technologies very, very judiciously, and then restore or make our agriculture sustainable. That's since 90s we are saying that this rice wheat cropping system has become unsustainable. So how to bring in sustainability? Sustainability means we have to produce sufficient for present generation, and then conserve these resources for future generations. They say these resources, they are a debt on us of the future generations, so we have to conserve them. And then when we say talk of One Health concept, he also said about One Health concept. Health concept means agriculture is very, very important from food for our health, because if we have safe food, our health will be good, animal health will be good, they will get safe fodder, and environment should be healthy, air should be healthy, but only then we can have good health. And for that, health of soil is very, very important. And if soil is polluted, naturally we are putting pest residues, we are putting excess of fertilizer. So residues, they are reflected in our food, and that those have repercussions for our health as well as for exports. So these are the things which we need to keep in mind. And okay, a lot of awareness is coming now, and so therefore good agricultural practices, I think that a lot of emphasis from the government and from the institutes, whether it is a pest management, it is the soil management. So good agriculture practices, they hold the promise, and they will also become mandatory, I think, in coming decades or coming years. So fertilizer use is very, very important. Balanced use of fertilizers, it leads to, means farmers, they are making excess use of nitrogen. They are not using potash for pest management point of view, say, because if they are not using potash, and potash imparts tolerance to the plants from pest and diseases. But excessive use of nitrogen, that makes plants more luxuriant and attractive to the pest and diseases. So that is another harm. Means the productivity is reduced, farmers' expenditure is done, but then if there is proper productivity is not there, so proper benefit cost is not there, rather he has to spend more on pest control. Another disadvantage is that excess use of nitrogen fertilizer, excess use of water, that leads to climate change. Means emission of nitrous oxide emissions, then methane emissions, excess use of water in rice, transplanted rice, or what you call those. So these are the side effects, and we have to think in a systematic or in a system approach. When we talk of pest management, we talk of soil. So we have to see what they are all components interrelated, and we have to have a systems approach. So therefore, best thing is go for integrated approach, integrated more of biological resources, whether it is a pest management or it is a soil management, more of biological resources, biopesticides, biofertilizers, green manuring, and then composting, vermicomposting, residue incorporation, intercropping with the legumes. Then these days, new technologies are coming now, neem-coated urea, plus slow release fertilizers, slow release pesticides. Then in protected culture, we have fertigation. We have efficient methods of water use, like drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigations, and then fertigation, that also makes efficient use of fertilizers. So these modern techniques, site-specific nutrient management or precision agriculture. In IPM also we talk of precision agriculture. So all these techniques, we have soil health card based on your soil testing, what nutrients we are adding. So these techniques we have to create awareness. That is the one thing. We know these things, we have technologies, but how farmers will be able to use all these things? So creation of awareness and making these available to the farmers, so that we can they can make use these resources judiciously, and we can have safe food, we can have best benefit cost for them. Means the doubling of farmers' income is the slogan of the government, and then how to conserve the environment. So we have to ponder over these things, and then create awareness and convince farmers that we need to use them, and then they will be beneficial for them, for the environment, and for the nation, and we'll have better, safe food, safe environment, and better exports. So thank you very much. I once again thank all, and especially Dr. Sanjay Arora for giving a very, very vivid and clear, holistic, and comprehensive treatment for the topic, and balanced, how we can rectify the imbalanced use of fertilizers and make it efficient and more profitable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As you said, bio is the key, and the sir said carbon is the lord of the ring. So both of them together, we understood that biological and carbon, they are both going to have a sustainable crop health management practices, leading to the adoption of sustainable crop health management practices, and thereby sustaining the production and productivity and achieving the national food security today, tomorrow, and every 10, 20, 50, 100 years after that also, sir. So thank you, sir. Taking the program to the last step for today evening. Now we move forward for the vote of thanks. I deeply put my heartfelt thank to Dr. Sanjay Arora, sir, who is our guest speaker, for accepting our invitation and giving a very, very comprehensive lecture, sir. You have indeed touched all the part of the soil health management, starting from the physical, chemical, microbiological, everything, sir. And then the recent technologies and how that can be related to the abiotic stress tolerance, specifically to the salinity tolerance in the soil, and how microbes in one line where you also said that a soil, FYM and all the organic material without microbes is again a dry material, and it will not do any justice to addition to the soil of that material. So those lines and those phrases that you have given us, they will remain with us, sir. And I believe that all the participants must have gained the knowledge. We are still having some questions. I'm getting questions in the chat box. I'll get back to you, sir, for the answers of these questions. And we are very thankful to you, sir, for because you find time for us. And again, also we'll request you for these comprehensive lectures, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I place my heartfelt thank to Dr. Subhash Chandra, Director, NCIPM, for giving motivation and always putting the guiding words in front of us. Sir, you are the motivating force under which we are working, and we believe that we will be able to achieve your dreams of spreading the IPM to the grassroots level of the country and increasing the area under IPM. Of course, biointensive IPM and adopting maximum current technologies. I also thank all the dignitaries, participants who have joined us from the different parts of the country. Sir, Director NIPB is continuously in this lecture. Sir, a video also, but he is there continuously. So all the dignitaries who have joined from the different parts of the country, our collaborators, farmers, friends, I thank one and all for their interest in the topic and attending this lecture and making this program successful. I am also thankful to the administrative and financial unit of NCIPM for their cooperation, help and guidance for conducting this program. I thank one and all for conducting, for making this program successful. And I believe that with the help of these campaigns and these lectures from the learned people, we will be able to achieve the sustainable crop production, crop productivity, and national food security in the long run. Thank you so much. With the permission of the chair, we would like to conclude end the meeting, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.